You rarely feel manipulated in the moment. You feel it later. Later that night when you replay the conversation. Later when you realize you agreed to something you didn't want. Later when your energy feels drained for no clear reason. Manipulation isn't always loud. It's subtle. It's psychological. It's strategic. It sounds like, "Why are you being so sensitive?" "I was just joking. If you cared, you would." And somehow the conversation shifts. It's no longer about what they did. It's about your reaction. And now you're explaining yourself. That drained, confused feeling, that's not weakness. That's a boundary that wasn't held. Today, we're not talking about being aggressive. We're not talking about being cold. We're talking about becoming calm, clear, and unmovable. Because manipulation doesn't work on loud people. It works on leaky ones. Let's seal the leaks. Boundary number 1. Stop explaining yourself to people who already decided to misunderstand you. Over-explaining feels mature. It feels responsible. It feels like you're clearing the air. But psychologically, it signals something else. When you over-justify your no, you communicate uncertainty. And manipulators are highly attuned to uncertainty. Here's what happens. You say, "I can't make it." They ask, "Why?" You explain. They question your explanation. You clarify. Now you're defending your character instead of holding your boundary. The conversation moved from the decision to you. That's the trap. People who respect you don't need a courtroom defense for your limits. "I'm not comfortable with that. That doesn't work for me. I won't be doing that." These are complete sentences. Notice the discomfort that rises when you stop explaining. That tightness, that urge to justify. That's not intuition. That's fear of disapproval. Most over-explaining comes from a nervous system that learned, if I upset people, I lose safety. But adulthood requires a different rule. Clarity doesn't require defense. When you state a boundary once and allow silence to follow, something powerful happens. The other person has to sit with it. No emotional debate, no character analysis, no rescue attempt, just reality. And manipulators hate reality they can't reshape. Boundary number 2, you do not make decisions under pressure. Urgency is one of the oldest manipulation tactics in the book. Decide now. I need an answer. If you cared, you'd say yes. Pressure bypasses logic. It activates the stress response. When your nervous system feels rushed, your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for reasoning, takes a back seat. You move into emotional compliance. That's not agreement, that's survival mode. Manipulators know this, because when you're rushed, you don't evaluate, you react. So, here's the boundary. Anytime you feel pressure, you slow down. I'll think about it. Not maybe, not probably, not let me see. I'll think about it, then you pause. People who respect you will give you space. People who don't will escalate. And that escalation tells you everything. Here's a powerful truth. Urgency is control in disguise. You don't owe anyone immediate access to your decisions. Time protects clarity, and clarity protects you. Boundary number 3. You stop arguing with people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Some arguments are discussions, others are traps. Manipulators don't debate to understand. They debate to exhaust. They twist words. They circle back. They change definitions mid-sentence. They pull you into endless loops. You think, if I explain it better, they'll finally get it. But they already get it. They just don't want to. Because confusion gives them leverage. The moment you enter endless defense mode, your energy drains. You're no longer communicating. You're trying to prove your worth. Here's the shift. You say your point once, calmly, clearly. Then you disengage. No raised voice, no emotional paragraph, no need to win. Silence is not weakness. It's control over your participation. Arguing with someone who refuses to understand you is like pouring water into a bucket with no bottom. You'll empty yourself and still feel unheard. The most intimidating response in a manipulative argument isn't a perfect comeback. It's disengagement. When you stop feeding the loop, it dies. Boundary number 4. You don't reward disrespect with access. This is where most people collapse. Someone crosses a line. They dismiss you. They talk down to you. They violate a limit. Later, they return acting normal, smiling, joking, casual, and you match their energy. You laugh, you engage, you move on. In that moment, you trained them. Boundaries without behavioral change are just words. You don't need to explode. You adjust access, shorter responses, less emotional availability, more distance. Not to punish, but to recalibrate. Human behavior follows reinforcement. When bad behavior still earns warmth, nothing changes. When bad behavior costs access, patterns shift. They adjust, or they disappear. Both outcomes protect you. Access is earned, not assumed. And once people feel that shift in you, the dynamic changes instantly. Boundary number 5. You stop feeling guilty for choosing yourself. This is the deepest one, and the hardest. Because guilt feels moral. It feels like empathy. But often, it's conditioning. Many people were trained early in life that love equals compliance. Keeping the peace meant staying safe. So, your nervous system learned, if I disappoint people, I'm in danger. Now, every time you say no, your body reacts like you did something wrong. Tight chest, racing thoughts, an urge to fix it. But here's the truth. Guilt doesn't mean you're wrong. It means you're unlearning people-pleasing. Choosing yourself will feel uncomfortable at first, because you're breaking a survival pattern, and survival patterns don't dissolve quietly. But every time you override your own needs to avoid guilt, you send a message. My comfort matters less than their approval, and manipulators thrive on that. When you hold your boundary despite guilt, something powerful happens. Your nervous system recalibrates, your mind gets quieter, you stop replaying conversations at night, you begin to trust yourself. And once you trust yourself, manipulation loses its entry point. Because manipulation doesn't attack strength directly, it looks for leaks. Guilt used to be your leak, not anymore. Boundaries aren't behaviors, they're identity decisions. You don't become colder, you become clearer. You don't become aggressive, you become consistent. And consistency is terrifying to people who rely on emotional flexibility. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." In other words, let them misunderstand you. Let them be uncomfortable. Peace is more valuable than approval. When you live these 5 boundaries, something shifts internally. You stop reacting. You start choosing. You stop chasing understanding. You stand in clarity, and people feel it. In your tone, in your timing, in your absence. You won't need to announce your growth. It will show. And the people who benefited from your lack of limits, they'll adapt or fall away. Either way, you win. If someone gets angry when you set a boundary, they weren't benefiting from your presence. They were benefiting from your compliance. And you don't owe anyone access to you at the cost of your peace. Strong boundaries don't make you hard. They make you stable. And stability cannot be manipulated. If this hit a little close to home, here's your challenge. Pick one boundary from this video, just one, and apply it this week. No announcement, no explanation, just calm consistency. Then come back and tell me what changed. And if you're serious about becoming mentally unshakable and impossible to manipulate, subscribe and join this journey. Because we're not here to react to life. We're here to understand it and choose it.